This is the Coach Bryan Moore Show with Opelika head football coach Bryan Moore. And now with Coach Moore, the voice of the Bulldogs, Van Riggs.
Welcome back in on the Bryan Moore Show, presented by Glenn Smith Chevy GMC in Opelika. Alongside Coach Bryan Moore, I'm Van Riggs. Coach, congratulations on a big win over Enterprise. A good crowd out at Bulldogs Stadium. 7-1, 4-1 in region play, and set up really good here for the home stretch. And I know it starts Friday against Central Phenix City.
Yeah, obviously a huge game coming up, but really proud of the way we played Friday night. You know, I thought it was our best start. There was no question it was our best start. And just really clicking on all phases. You know, defensive played extremely well early. Had some 3-and-outs, created a turnover. Defense kept getting us the ball back offensively, and then, you know, we were able to run the football. The first drive was the best opener we've had this year. And then drive 2 was just as good. We got some short fields. I did have to settle for some field goals. Reese kicked it really well, but proud of our team, and you know, in a kind of a weird week, I guess, a distracting type week. Proud of the way that we overcame that and really stayed locked in and focused. Our crowd was unbelievable, and obviously we hope that'll happen again. We know it'll happen again against Central. So the only thing, you know, I guess any negative in the game, you know, coach speak here is that we didn't do a great job to finish, you know, the game. The third quarter was not good. We got behind the sticks. We were off schedule, whereas in the first half we were on schedule the whole ball game. You know, and sometimes you have to learn. I told the kids, I called them up, it was 27-7 at half. We're a little frustrated with the last drive defensively. I thought we relaxed a little bit, and they drove and scored and got the ball back after half, so I thought that could be a momentum swing. But I brought the kids in and said, look, man, we got to learn. You hadn't had this type of lead ever, really, in your career in a big game. And you got to learn to finish those games. So we worked hard on that, and I expect us to be better, and hopefully we'll have that opportunity going forward.
I know we're going to talk to the offensive linemen on today's show. They've really been paving the way for this run game, and that's what you did. You really just hit them in the mouth right out of the gate. And, boy, Blake Johnson continues to dominate in the trenches.
No doubt. And, you know, not only, you know, Blake, but Jordan and Calvin played really well. Tommy Johnson's played great. Yeah, really, really proud of our offensive line. You know, we're playing 8 guys up there that we continue to rotate through, and 6 of them are seniors, so we don't love that number. You know, we're proud for now and happy for now, but in the future, you know, those guys have played a lot of football and are really good players. And you know, I'm just proud of, you know, last week we really challenged them. I didn't think against Pike Road or Dothan up front we played great in the game. I thought, you know, we needed to take our, you know, because I think we can be like elite. I think our offensive line can be incredible. And so I thought Coach Fleming did an incredible job last week of challenging those guys. And Coach Atkins got down there and Coach Epperson and really challenged them to be better. And I thought right off the jump, man, we had several knockdowns. You know, the game was chippy, and I was proud of the way that they didn't, you know, it's what people don't see is the things that go on down there, you know, and in those piles and that sort of thing. And our kids to keep their composure in kind of a tough night, I thought was really huge for us. And again, proud of them. But yeah, paving the way there early. We snapped it 34 times in the first half, which was really huge. Ran for 240 yards in the game, over 6 yards a carry, and ran for several touchdowns in the game. So proud of them. And hey, some of the time that, you know, the other team knew what was coming, you know, and for our guys to basically say, hey, it's coming right there, and we're gonna run over you anyway, I thought was really big. And I think it's who we have to be. I think we got to play clock management, control the line of scrimmage on both sides. That's our recipe for success. So hopefully we can do it again. Obviously, the level of opponent is really good going forward. You know, both, you know, Carver and Central up front are really good, really athletic up front. Will challenge us, so we'll have to continue to raise our level and continue to improve every week.
I don't know the numbers passing right offhand, but you didn't have to pass it a whole lot Friday night. But when you did, you were able to move the ball down the field through the air.
Yeah, for sure. I thought Quez had a big night. You know, he had a couple of catches I thought were really good. Brody had a catch. I think it was the first night that every one of our rotational guys had a touch. So Drew had a big catch early to get us into 3rd and 1. I thought was a massive play. You know, I just thought that overall, you know, the touches were really good. I think we threw it like 8 times or something like that. But, you know, we were talking about it off the air, you know, that was kind of after the first half. It's 27-7. Don't beat yourself.
Right.
You know, obviously we'd like to push that lead out. So some of the conservative, you know, part of that was me saying, look, guys, if we go out there and run the clock and get into 4-minute offense and that sort of thing, they can't beat us. You know, they're too far behind. What we can do, though, is hurt ourselves by throwing a pick or scoop and score fumble or something like that, you know, that can put them back in this ballgame. But otherwise, run the clock. Let's get out of here with a big region win. And then that's exactly what we did.
Don't have to tell the guys much about Central Phenix City. A huge rivalry. I think it's the 82nd meeting coming up Friday night. It's their longest rivalry against Opelika and the second for Opelika. And played them good last year, beat them the year before. And I know going into this one, a lot on the line, could wrap up a number 2 seed potentially with a win Friday night.
Huge, and that would be home field advantage. So obviously for both of us, really the winner can do that. With their win over Carver this past week. Obviously Central's really good. They're number 2 in the state. I mean, them and Auburn, that was up in the air to who wins that ball game late, just like our game with Auburn. I really feel like us, Auburn, Carver, and Central are all right there together. I think all 4 of us have really good football teams, maybe 4 of the best in Alabama. I think we are. And obviously being at home is really, really important. Opelika has played Central well, all the way back to when I was here before. We played them every year. All 8 years I was here before. I don't remember what the record overall was, but it was back and forth. I can think back on the days with Jonathan Wallace and some of those guys were great players at Central, and the kid that went to Louisville, and just all these guys that are just special players, and they got that again. A great receiver in Upshaw. They got a great D lineman that's a junior, a defensive end that's a special player. They run extremely well. Obviously, Coach Nix does a great job with them. Schematically very different, more like Auburn than we've seen the last few weeks. Throw the ball around. Them, Auburn, and Pike Road all have incredible cues, so he can make every throw. I think he was a 7A first team All-State kid a year ago with a state championship under his belt. So he's a great player, great weapons outside, everywhere, great left tackle that's going to, I think, Alabama. They've got SEC guys running around out there. And so 2 really good running backs. So we'll have our work cut out for us. But again, it's something with our players. They play Central every year, Central Auburn, every level, every year. So it's not a deal where they're not familiar with their kids, And so I think that gives an advantage, to the way we see Central, and the way Opelika historically, it's been a great rivalry. Again, one that's been back and forth. I don't know the overall standings, but one that's been very balanced, and it'll be electric. And what we'll have to do for keys, we got to really tackle. They put you in those one-on-ones defensively to where, man, you're going to be one-on-one with a guy in space that's a really, really good athlete, and you're going to have to get him on the ground, by yourself. Because, again, the way they flip the ball around, run those RPOs are game changers. And then for us offensively, we got to control the ball. I mean, we've got to be able to run it, and we got to be able to churn out first downs, and it's all about the snap count. I challenge the kids. I said, hey, man, we snap it 60 times on offense. I'm going to feed you a steak on Sunday. If we tackle solo tackles, we have 10 plus in the game, I'm going to feed the defense a steak on Sunday. So that's what we're going to do. That's our recipe, and that's no secret. I'm not giving away any information. We need to stay on the field offensively and keep our defense off the field as much as we can.
Yeah, no big secret here either. For Central, field position will be key in this game. Anytime you have a big game, special teams always comes into play, whether you kick the ball short or give them good field position, and field goals can be big. It was the game winner a couple years ago here at Bulldog Stadium.
There's no doubt, and we've been good there. I thought Friday night we played really well against Enterprise in the special teams phase. We didn't have any return game issues. Field position was not a great difference between us and Enterprise, but I thought, we did a great job of not kicking it deep to 4 and 5 with Enterprise. And, with Central, the problem with them is they're all elite returners. All 11 on the return phase can take it to the house. So, even the frontline guys are skill guys. And so, we'll have to do a great job of covering, lane integrity, getting guys on the ground. Same thing, those solo tackles have to play there. And then, we got to make PATs and field goals when they're there. And Reese was 3 for 3 this past Friday and did a great job. So, the special teams will be huge because a game like this, I think this is the most evenly matched of any game we've played this year. Maybe the Auburn game was close, but these 2 teams, one break here or there, one mistake here or there can cost you the ball game. So we've got to do a great job of being really clean, take care of the football. We can't turn it over. We got to be able to run it, stop the run, and then tackle in space, like I mentioned. But special teams will be a huge factor in this game Friday.
8 straight games for your team, Coach. How's everybody feeling? I know fall break was this week, maybe a little extra rest for the guys.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they're taking advantage of it. We're like anybody. We got ankles and shoulders, and we're a little banged up. But, we were thankful Carson had took a big shot Friday night, and he's fine and practiced all week and been great.
Got back in the game, too.
Got back in the game. Luckily, it was a clean deal, and it didn't hit him in the back of the head. That's kind of where the concussions typically happen. And so he was fine. Doc was out there. Appreciate our medical staff, Dr. Wilson and orthopedic clinic, everybody involved. They were right there because it was a scary deal. But everybody's ready to go. Everybody except Bennett and Brandon Massey will play in the game, and Bennett's really close. So we're fortunate to be where we are. Again, obviously the season has had its wear and tear on us. It's crazy, man. Van, we're 8 days from the end of the regular season already. It just is insane. You know, we play next Thursday, and so we're 8 days away from that. But we need that bye week prior to the playoffs. And again, this Friday is massive for us in our seeding, and to be able to play a playoff game in Bulldog Stadium, because from my career and being here, there's nothing like that. To win when you're in November, playing at home in Bulldog Stadium, it's a huge advantage, and we hope to get that done this Friday.
Yeah, I know for fans that are watching this before the game Friday night, I know there was a good crowd Friday night, but there were still open seats. So we need to fill Bulldog Stadium as max capacity for Friday night's game.
We need everybody, and we need them there early, and we need them at dog walk. You know, I've had several parents text and say, hey, you know, how do we encourage people to be here? I'm like, it's Opelika Central. We shouldn't have to encourage people to be here.
Yeah.
This is a big night anyway. And but I will say this, our kids have handled all that stuff, whether it's been on the road at Dothan or big games like at Ben Russell that was really, really crowded and packed and loud. We've handled everything. The game with Enterprise, obviously we started really fast. So I don't think the moment's too big for us. You know, I think that our guys are locked and loaded and ready to go. And I think that, you know, the crowd only helps us with our energy. Obviously, like I always mention, our band and our cheerleaders and everybody involved, our support staff people and all the people running the Jumbotron and the music and everything, it's created an atmosphere. And once again, I'll stand by it. It's an experience for young people. That's what we're here to do. We want to win. I want to win, I promise you. And we work our tails off to do that, and our kids work so hard. But it's about the experience, and what an electric environment it should be Friday night with incredible football weather finally cooling down. So we're excited about the opportunity and ready to play in front of our home crowd.
Don't forget Thursday, it's Coach Moore's luncheon at First Baptist Church, Opelika. It starts at noon and we'll wrap up at 1. A great preview of the game coming up for Friday night. And again, that is Thursday at noon, First Baptist Church in Opelika. Coach, we've got Jared Fleming back for the second time on the show coming up next.
I think this is the Coach Moore Fleming show.
I think so.
We've hyphenated the show for Coach Fleming. I heard that he was a self-proclaimed guy that needed his own space. But no, man.
And he'll be at the lunch Thursday.
What a Fleming week.
I know.
You know, what a week. But no, I do want to brag on Coach and the job he's doing, and the job these 8 rotational guys you're getting ready to interview do. And you know, I will say this, and Coach Fleming, I talked about this. We've got big people here, you know, and we finally have, you know, weight moves weight. This is a big man's game. You know, the days of 190-pound guards are over, you know, and so, you know, we've got these kids that have done a great job in the weight room, and the job Cade McGee's done with them, and the job their parents have done feeding them and getting them ready to go. So proud of Coach Flem, his group. And listen, I stand by this. We go as far as this offensive line takes us. I mean, you know, we obviously have other pieces that have to be great, but we have to be able to line up and run the football regardless of who knows where it's going and you know, what the down and distance is. We got to be able to make those 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s. It will be the difference in our season, and I completely hang my hat on this group and trust that they're going to get it done.
All right, we'll talk to the big guys up front and Coach Fleming on the way next on the Bryan Moore Show. We're back here on the Bryan Moore Show, presented by Glenn Smith Chevy GMC in Opelika. We got some offensive linemen with us from the Bulldogs, and also offensive line coach Jared Fleming. And Jared, tell us a little bit about the 3 guys we got here with us now.
Well, we got 3 seniors here. We got starting left tackle. I'm sorry, look at the camera. Got the starting left tackle, Trayvon Thomas, back here, number 72, on the field, but number 1 in your hearts for sure. Who's been really a staple for the offensive line for a while. He started getting a lot of playing time as a sophomore. And then junior year started right tackle and played almost every snap, I think, that year, really. He was our backup left tackle for a couple – actually, he started left tackle a couple games last year, right, because we had a suspension of a certain left tackle that was senior last year is gone. And then been our left tackle since, you know, obviously the season ended, who's been really the guy he's got to be for us on Friday is that anchor. You know, it's obviously every left tackle is for a right-handed quarterback, and who's done a great job of really taking that job, I think, seriously. You can kind of see he's one of those guys who works on his craft and really knows it's about the job getting done. And that's one of the things I really have always loved about him. Since he was a sophomore, he's been hitting me up with questions, you know, asking my coach, what about this, what about this? I think he's a little more confident now. Those questions don't come as much. I think he's kind of got it figured out, so I kind of got to go to him and make sure he knows some things. But he's one of those guys you can have conversations with about offensive line stuff, which really means you have a lot of understanding about what you're doing. Next to me over here is Jackson Lee, our center. It's a funny story. He came in, you know, he moved from Lee Scott this past year, and in the spring, really played a bunch of positions trying to find out where he went. He never really played center before. And I think, you know, Kyle was wrestling at the time, so he wasn't able to be there to be our center which is kind of our plan going into this year, was Kyle be the center. So he had to, like Jackson had to snap. We didn't have anybody else really, because we had another guy who was doing it but wasn't able to be there every day as well. So he got a lot of experience and kind of took it and ran with it, and just ever since then, have just really, honestly, he's balled out at that position. Does a lot of things that are, you don't really coach, and you have to know and have the understanding of the game. So he's really shown his football IQ this season, I think, in that position, and made some highlight plays doing it. And then Kyle here, who's been, a dog for a long time as well, kind of like Tremont, played some his sophomore year, and he started his junior year like every game. Have you always been a left guard? Always been a left guard since he's been playing, but really has been that, like, I guess you might call him the nasty boy. You know what I mean? Who's got to get in there and got to get dirty and get a job done. And really, the past 3 weeks is playing the best football of his life, in my opinion. Yeah. And that's coincided with playing the best 3 teams really we've played all year, other than the Auburn game, which he played great against them too. But like, it's gotten better and better each week for this guy as far as playing physical, and just knowing his job and being on it every time. So it's been really impressive to watch all 3 of these guys develop.
A couple quick questions for each player. Kyle, just talk about playing Central. I know you played them multiple times in your career. I know you're excited to get this one going Friday night.
Yes, sir. We played them last year. They had a lot more star power in the middle, their nose guard and their tackles inside. This year they're a little bit smaller, but they're a lot faster, and they come at you with those high motors. All of them have high motors, and you kind of just got to lock them down and get your hands on them and don't let them get past you.
Yeah. Jackson, we'll swip over to you real quick. Talk about, being over here at Opelika. I know you come in from the AISA. Level of competition went up quite a bit going to 7A football at a team like Central. You hadn't missed a beat this year. Talk about, the level of competition and what it's been like playing at Opelika this season.
It's a lot harder than it was back at Lee Scott, but I got a lot of confidence in myself that I can do it. That's why I came here to prove it to myself. And yeah.
Honestly, everybody else, he does have confidence. I will say that. He's a confident individual.
Yeah. Well,
love that. And you got to have that position for real.
And snaps have been outstanding this season. And I mean, and so Jackson, has there been a challenge or a learning curve with that? It seems like you've done a good job.
No, I kind of get zoned in. So don't worry about it. It just happens.
Yeah. Tremont, we had you at media days. I know you love the microphone, you love the spotlight. Talk about the season so far, and Coach Fleming really bragged on you and the work you put in.
The season going very good for us. Just striving through, change the playoffs.
Yeah, man. That's what it's about, a postseason, huh?
Yeah.
How would it feel to get to the playoffs? Maybe that home field advantage.
Hard work pays off.
That's right.
It is. I mean, a playoff game that at home we haven't had in a while. If y'all senior year, I think it's big time. You get to put on in front of the city. I think these guys deserve it for sure.
Absolutely.
That opportunity. Just kind of go out there and earn it now is the point. You know. What about you, man? You got a big matchup for Friday night. No.
I ain't worried about none of that.
Nah, you ain't worried about none of that. They got a pretty good pass rusher. But I mean, we've been taking steps forward. I think that we got a pretty good plan. I'm excited about the matchup. We just saw a really good pass rusher Friday night, and you wouldn't even know he was out there, for the most of the game. Yeah. Well, I was pretty happy about that for sure.
Yeah, great work by the offensive line, no doubt about it. These 3 have done an outstanding job. We've got more offensive linemen that will join us coming up next. We'll take a quick break and come back with more right here on the Bryan Moore Show. Continuing our visit with offensive linemen here as our guest and here on the Bryan Moore Show. Offensive line coach Jared Fleming joining up with us. And we got some more offensive linemen, Coach. Introduce us to these guys.
Right. Well, what we got here is our right tackles. We have David Miller, who's a senior, and we have Eric Mason, who is a junior. And I introduced them together because really they're one position. There's not they both started on Friday nights in games, but they both play almost like the exact amount of snaps. It's really, they're like a 2-headed monster. And we do it that way just because they both play so well off each other. I mean, they just one goes in the game, another comes in fresh, and they're just such a great 1-2 punch of, almost like people talk about running backs that change the pace. It's kind of like that, throw the defense off. But they really play well off each other. They fight, they push each other. And like I said, I think that it makes them both better for the whole game. That's really been a rock solid position here these past couple weeks. It's been improving so much, and both these guys have improved. Eric's underclassman, didn't get much playing time last year, So just to step into and make the growth he's made has been really big time. We call him Friday Night Eric because as a sophomore, you remember Friday Night Eric? So as a sophomore, we look for him to step up during the week. He's kind of like young and kind of timid. But on Friday night, man, he would just turn it up, just crank it on. And then David made a position change at the beginning of the year. He's been a tight end for us all his life, But we really had a need, and we asked him to, and he's taken to it really well. I think he was pretty nervous at the beginning, but I think he saw how much he was going to play. Might have helped. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Beginning, I liked tight end quite a bit, but once I made the change, it was just fell into place. It felt more natural,
well,
I'd say.
All big guys they'd rather catch the ball than anything, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot more bigger guys lined up across from you, though, at tackle, I would think, aren't there? Has to be.
Which our tight ends this year asked to do a lot, too. We got a good group of guys there as well. But how you feeling about the season so far?
Yeah, I feel pretty good as we swap out and stuff, and also learning left tackle as well.
That's right. You are the back of left tackle.
Feel very versatile and can play where I needed.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Eric, how you feeling about the season so far, man?
It going great, but at the same time, I feel like we could do more stuff, more better than what we've been doing, fast pacing and all that.
Playing fast pace. I think I agree. We definitely can pick our tempo up for sure, but we are improving. That's the big thing too, right?
Yes.
Now, Eric, you're one of the juniors on the offensive line that's getting a lot of playing time. There's been a pretty big senior-heavy group up front there. What do you think about the group coming in maybe next year?
I'm just training. Play how I played this year or get more better.
Yeah. Who's another junior in the class we're excited about? We gotta say his name. I want to hear his name on live on air.
Bobby Trees.
Bobby Trees.
Shout out Bobby Trees.
Shout out, baby.
Eric, what do you think about going up against Central? I know it's a big, long rivalry. Everybody familiar with Central?
I'm just ready. I'll get it over with.
Dude, Eric stay locked in all week. I will say that he's always locked in on the game plan during the week. That's what you love about him too.
That's right.
David, any big challenges we got coming up? Anything that we need to take a step forward on?
Just pad level, but other than that,
Pad level,
good.
stay in the lowest.
Yeah.
I like that. As a lot of coaches love hearing that.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see big things from David and Eric, and we'll continue with more offensive linemen. Here's where we spotlight the guys up front in the trenches. We'll continue with more on the Bryan Moore Show right after this. All right, final segment here on the Bryan Moore Show with the guys up front. We've been talking offensive line with Coach Jared Fleming. We've got another three group here, and talk about the trio here we got, Coach Fleming.
All right, we got a trio of guards here. We have two seniors over here to my left, and we have sophomore right here. This is Keelan Jones. We call him Big Keelan. He's been with us when you came back and started playing your freshman year, right? Came back and started playing his freshman year again. Who's really blossomed, I feel like, this past season. We've always seen the potential, and I think especially the past few weeks, you've really seen him take over. He's kind of gotten called into some playing time, really. Debo got hurt, so him and Carmel had to get a lot more. Really, he's had to be a guy that could be consistent for us when he does play. He's not a full-time starter, but he's a guy who's always got to be ready to go, who could play multiple positions, really. He played tackle, he's played guard on both sides. Carmel is also a senior. He's a transfer from defensive line to us. A couple years ago, we had these crossover days where people had two positions, and he would do some with us. And, kind of seeing it then, he took to it pretty well, but just never stuck around with us. Kind of had to go back to defense, and I wish I would fought a little more to keep him on our side more, because even with less than a year of training, the dude has really grown and just can, especially when he gets in space, do pulls, he's all over it. Probably one of my favorite highlights of the game of the year was when he had his big pull on was it against Jag? Against Callaway. It's a poster on the wall in the meeting room, just demolishing this guy in space. It was amazing. Calvin running right behind him. Darius, who is a sophomore, so the youngest guy with us on our offensive line, is starting. Call him Debo, Big Debo, Little Debo, Baby Debo. He's got a bunch of names. You can call him really whatever you want to before Debo, if it works. But started as a sophomore just because he came out there and really impressed with how physical he is. The big challenge with him was he going to learn the playbook, and really is taking that as well. Kind of has a good sense for offensive line play. Three great guys are a lot of fun too.
Well, just pass the mic around. We'll start over here and just talk about the Central game and goals for the rest of the season. I know getting to the playoffs will be big.
I feel like the biggest goal for Central game up front is being able to play aggressive and knock big guys out the way so he can run the ball upfield.
It's a great answer.
Yeah.
Carmel, you're next.
Yeah.
I feel like a thing that we could do. I feel like a thing that we could do to help us win or just dominate in general up front is win the line of scrimmage and, like Keela said, move the big guys up front.
Now, Carmel, you already got a poster. So do you need to get another poster? I think we need to get maybe 2 or 3 more posters, right, before the season's over?
Yeah, I'm on the way with the poster.
He's the only line with his own poster right now. Like a trading card. You know what I'm saying? Like a Joe Burrow card, but Carmel. What you been doing the past 2 weeks, though?
Past 2 weeks, healing from my concussion.
You had a concussion?
Yeah.
You want to talk about your concussion gear and all that you had to wear on the sideline?
I had some sunglasses. I know one practice I wore.
You had your hoodie on.
Yeah. You called me Ray Charles.
Oh, my goodness.
He had his hoodie on and he had sunglasses on. And he was I'm just looking at everybody. All of a sudden, I'd see him like this, just stone cold, looking right, like I know he's looking at me, just dead in the soul, those sunglasses. And I was just like, oh my God, like give me chills. But yeah, you guys got any questions for Darius? I'm gonna let you guys shoot him a question.
Question for Darius. I ain't got no question for you. You got a question?
Man, I put you on here for a reason.
All right, well, let's
You gotta
pass it
entertain
up.
the people.
We get it to Darius.
Darius, make sure the O's showing. What you got to say?
Honestly, in my opinion, to win up front, I think it's a big thing is we just gotta be physical because we know that they're not as big as last year, but they're fast, physical. They can shed blocks, and we've been working a lot this week on shedding blocks. So it's gonna be about staying on the blocks, just pushing them on the ground and running down their throat. To be honest.
Darius, to be getting playing time as a sophomore with this group, it's got to be pretty big for you.
You know, back in the spring, I couldn't believe it, cause you know Jackson was right guard at first. Then he could play. So the spring game, I got to start in the spring game. I was nervous, but after a while, it's really not that bad once you just get in, set it in. And I just been playing there since. It's just like another game for me.
As Coach McCracken would say, since it's almost the season's over and you're a sophomore, you're pretty much a junior now. So, yeah, no longer a sophomore, right?
For sure.
Yes, sir.
And we've kind of challenged him that a couple weeks ago. Like, it's time to start playing like an upper class, like a redshirt sophomore is what I told him.
Right.
But, yeah, it's been a big time to see him. He looks like he has fun when he plays football, too.
Yeah, ready for the challenge Friday night?
I'm ready for anything.
All right.
How many to-go bags did you have from dinner last night, Keelan? 2? You should have had like 3 or 4. It's like in the hoodie pocket, just like to-go bags of food just in there.
I took about like 5 Gatorades.
What?
That's how it is.
I was wondering the Gatorade. Somebody found a Capri Sun, and I didn't even see those.
Hey, well, they said the big dogs got to eat, right?
Big dogs did
Yeah.
eat last night.
That's for sure. And
Even Tremont had a full steak. It was
Hey.
crazy. I think he had a little more than one steak, honestly.
There you go. Yeah.
Good to see.
Well, that's why he's quiet today.
It's
maybe. Hey, don't forget, of course, Bryan Moore luncheon coming up on Thursday. These guys will be there, so you get to see them all eat. So, hey, you can get plenty to eat on Thursday at the Coach Bryan Moore luncheon. And again, that's noon till 1 at First Baptist Church in Opelika. And looking forward to seeing these guys put on a good show Friday night. Make sure and join us back next week on the Bryan Moore Show. It'll be a short week as the Dogs will head on the road to finish up the regular season against Carver on a Thursday night in Montgomery. That's next week on the Bryan Moore Show.
Shout out Bobby Tree.